Hi, my name is Alana Page. This is my self-assessment for my capstone project for my Master's in Curriculum and Instruction through Northern Vermont University. Class number is EDU 6630. This is the fall of the 2021 semester. For my capstone, I get to kind of design my own project, and I decided I really wanted to launch into best practices around teaching ELA. I myself am a science teacher by trade, but my school has asked me to teach a class a day of ELA instruction, so I really wanted to work on how do I do that and how do I be effective, because I didn't feel like I was being effective in the past. So the guiding question for this course is, how can formal inquiry ground my project and expand my perspective? So the first way that formal inquiry was grounding my project, I did a lot of different research for this project. I ended up finding a book that was a wonderful resource, the best practice for today's standards for teaching and learning in American schools by Steven Zellman, Harry Daniels, and Arthur Hyde. But I definitely used a lot of research skills because I also used a variety of true research articles that paired well with the book. I had 3 that really stood out as helpful for my project, but read many more than that. And I had to really evaluate each source. So formal inquiry really allowed me to dive in and evaluate each of those sources as I was studying, because there were so many sources out there that I started reading into and was like, nope, this isn't, either it wasn't true to what I was studying, or it wasn't what I needed. There's so much information out there, but you really need to keep your perspective open, kind of stick with your chain of your reasoning. So that's where the formal inquiry really grounded my project. Now, in terms of expanding my perspective, this project in general was expanding my perspective. I do not see myself as an ELA teacher, and I was trying to really dive in and change that for myself. I definitely learned some new interests of myself. I can't wait to implement some book clubs into my classroom, some read alouds. It's kind of changed myself as a teacher, so expanding my perspective in that way. And it allowed me to view myself in a new light as a teacher. If you had told me 2 years ago that I would have been doing this, I would have laughed probably in your face, because I would have said, I am not an ELA teacher. I don't want to be an ELA teacher. Don't ask me to be an ELA teacher, because that's just not how I viewed myself as a professional. And this allowed me kind of change that for myself, even though after some changes at my work, I am now not an ELA teacher. I feel very ready to take my ELA class back for next year. So, a vision of myself as an ELA teacher. So throughout my project, I created my own best practices after all my research. And I can now truly see myself applying those best practices into my classroom, using book clubs, using read alouds, using authentic assessment for reading, theming my reading and my writing units together, and finding a way to balance those times, even though that is still a huge strain. Really doing each of those things so I can best instruct ELA and follow some of these best practices, which I will be honest, I didn't have a clue what I was doing when I was first given my ELA class. I wasn't prepared, and I much now feel more prepared. I feel like if I walked into work tomorrow and they told me, oh, you're going to go in and we changed our mind, you're going to start taking over ELA by the end of the week, I could walk in and do that, and it would not be nearly as scary as it was before. I feel like I can use research-based approaches, and I can read research and pull out what the actual approach is and how can I use this in my own classroom. I feel like when I started this project, I was very much trying to pull things and just plop them into my room without making them my own, and I now feel like I have enough other understanding of saying, okay, well, if I pull in a new approach, how does that affect all these other things? Which is really important, so I can see myself using this learning to become a better educator, and I feel like I know who I am as a teacher more from this project. I have a deeper understanding of how to instruct reading and writing. I really didn't understand how to instruct reading before this project, especially at the lower levels of reading. I have a much greater understanding of phonics. It's definitely something I need a much deeper understanding in if I was going to truly be teaching with phonics. That's one of the nice things about teaching as a 7th grade teacher is there is an expectation of a basic phonics understanding, but I have learned that that's not always the case, and I have some more understanding of how true instruction of reading works. And same with writing. I now have a much better understanding of how to break down the parts of instructing writing instead of just being one whole thing of like, go write this. So those were my huge takeaways from this class, is I now can see myself as an ELA teacher as well as a science teacher. And I can see how those two things build on each other, and it's made me not only be able to see myself as an ELA teacher, it's helped strengthen my science teaching skills. And I've been able to pull some of those ELA best practices into my science classroom so that my science classroom can be more multidisciplinary and help tackle some of the struggles that we're seeing in our ELA levels as of right now. Some quick references. These are some of the books and papers that I used for the heart of my project. But really, all of these together is where I pulled my information from. One of the most helpful for me was the paper written by Rosca Miller, where she talks about her reading groups in her author study, and it really just inspired me for my own class. And I'm so excited to be able to go into my classroom and be an ELA teacher now. But that's kind of the wrap up of my assessment of myself for this year. Thank you for watching, and please reach out if you have any questions. Thanks. Bye.